The Keys to Content Writing Routine is a collection of 5 major instructional practices. And when teachers use these practices on a regular basis, it ensures that they're incorporating what research tells us are the most effective things we can do to improve students' writing. So I'm going to spend a few moments going through each one. You can see them up here on the chart paper. We've got 5 of them. The first is the Writing Assignment Guide, and we affectionately call that a WAG for short. The Writing Assignment Guide is designed as a planning tool for teachers so that whenever you're going to be assigning a writing assignment, something that's more than just a few minutes of jotting notes or something in a class, that it's a tool you use to help you think through the assignment and think through everything about what's the goals for it, what are the goals for it, what requirements do you have for students, what sorts of things will you be planning around it. The Writing Assignment Guide is broken into chunks. One of the first things we do is identify what the assignment is, and more importantly, what content and literacy standards is the writing assignment attached to. So if I'm in social studies or I'm in science, what am I teaching that week? What's the topic of study that I want the students writing about? And then also thinking about what literacy standards. So am I focusing on one of the 3 writing types? Is my goal with this writing assignment to have kids write from sources? The next big section is the set goals part, and this is where the teacher is really giving some very specific guidelines to students, and it includes everything from what type of writing, what form will it be. It also includes things like the length, the suggested length. A really big piece of this are what we call content and text structure requirements. So what content kinds of information and what academic vocabulary words do you want the students to make sure that they include in their writing? Then there's also a section in there about source requirements. So if the students are writing from sources, how many sources? What are the sources? How do you want them to cite them? So that's one of the big sections. A few of the other sections, and we'll go over this a little bit later in the training, but a few of the other sections include what kinds of models of good writing are you going to show the students so that they can begin to emulate that in their own writing piece. Also, what kinds of scaffolds are you going to give them? You're going to give them some sets of steps, a writing template, maybe some 2-column notes. The other thing is, in the Writing Assignment Guide, you really think through ahead of time what you're going to do as it relates to how students are going to get feedback from their pieces, both from the teacher as well as peers, and also what opportunities you're then going to give them to be able to revise either parts of their writing assignment or all of it. And then the last most important part of the WAG is thinking through where in this writing process, when the kids are thinking, planning, when they're writing, when they're revising, where are they going to have some time to work collaboratively with their peers? Will they think it through together? Will they write a first draft together? So those are really the elements of the Writing Assignment Guide. The second instructional practice is something called quick writes, and as its name infers, these are quick, short little writing assignments. They're typically not graded, but it's used to get kids writing a lot about whatever it is they're learning at that moment in the classroom. The third instructional practice is the writing process. So making sure that we teach kids explicitly that when we write something, we all go through some standard phases. We have to do a lot of thinking and planning first before we start writing. In fact, the more thinking and planning we do, the better our first draft is going to be. But that once we write the first draft, that's not enough. Then we've got to go back and revise it for content and for conventions. The fourth is, this is a pretty big category. It's basic text structures that you would use for any of the 3 types of writing. The 3 types of writing, just as a review, are argument writing, informational writing, and narrative writing. And a little bit later in the training, we're going to see the differences and similarities among these 3 types. But one thing that they all have in common is things like introductions, conclusions, how you use transition words to make connections in the pieces. So this is the instructional practice where we say to teachers, explicitly teach kids what these structures are, how you use them in the 3 different types of writing. And at this part in the training is where we'll also give you some basic information about what is the difference between these 3 types of writing. What are the structures? So how is a narrative piece developed? How is an argument piece developed? How is information developed? And then finally, the 5th activity in the Keys to Content Writing routine is how do you use scaffolds, in particular 2 column notes and something called a top-down topic web. We'll have an opportunity to visit both of these and give you some details about what they are and how you use them. But for the most part, the 2 column notes are used when kids are gathering ideas, especially information from sources, before they're going to write a piece. And the top-down webs are used as a really helpful pre-writing organizing kind of tool. So that's it. Those are the 5 basic instructional principles. And as we go through the training, we're going to hit each one in greater detail.